Married at First Sight. UK Season 10 has given us some truly uncomfortable moments, but nothing comes close to the absolute cruelty we've witnessed between Sarah and Dean. What started as a simple case of not being attracted to someone has turned into one of the most painful relationships in the show's history. We're talking about a bride who not only rejected her husband from the moment she saw him, but then proceeded to humiliate him in ways that left viewers absolutely furious. Sarah has officially been crowned the villain of this season, and honestly, it's not hard to see why. From cringing at his romantic gestures to fat-shaming him on their honeymoon, Sarah's treatment of Dean has been so brutal that even long-time Married at First Sight fans are saying, "This crosses a line." The problems between Sarah and Dean started the second Sarah laid eyes on her new husband at the altar. Unlike some brides who try to hide their disappointment, Sarah was immediately done with the whole situation. She told producers straight up, "No, I don't fancy Dean. So sorry," which is probably one of the most brutal first reactions we've ever heard on this show. You could see it written all over her face that Dean was absolutely nothing like what she was hoping for. But the real disaster started when Dean decided to do something special for his new bride. The poor guy performed an original rap at the altar, probably thinking it would be a sweet way to express his feelings. Instead, Sarah was visibly cringing the entire time, and you could see her family and friends looking absolutely mortified. Sarah later described the rap as over the top and admitted that it put me right off, which is a pretty harsh way to react to someone trying to be romantic. The awkwardness continued when it came time for their first kiss as husband and wife. Instead of going along with the moment, Sarah told Dean to only peck her on the cheek, which is basically the universal signal for "I'm not interested, but I'm trying to be polite about it." This wasn't wedding day nerves. This was a clear rejection that everyone watching could see. If the ceremony was rough, the reception was about to become a complete nightmare for Dean. Sarah's friends and family gave him an absolutely frosty reception, literally ignoring him when he waved and looking away like they couldn't bear to acknowledge his existence. Sarah's friend Caitlin was brutally honest with the cameras, saying, "Looks are very important to Sarah, and he is definitely not Sarah's type." Things got even worse when Dean decided to perform another song at the reception. The guy clearly thought that maybe his first performance didn't go over well, and he wanted to try again. But Sarah found this second musical moment weird and awkward. At this point, you have to feel bad for Dean, because he was trying everything he could think of to connect with his new wife, and nothing was working. The real kicker came when Sarah explained her usual type to Dean and the cameras. She admitted that she's normally attracted to a walking, talking red flag, like they've just come out of jail, which is quite the admission to make on your wedding day. Dean, being the honest guy he is, admitted that he's very much not a bad boy and described himself as like a mummy's boy. This exchange basically confirmed what everyone already knew. These two were complete opposites in every way that mattered to Sarah. When Dean mentioned that he's romantic and has written love poems before, Sarah's response was brutal. "Oh no, please don't write me a poem." The poor guy was just trying to share his interests and show his romantic side, but Sarah was shutting down every single thing about his personality. She also struggled to find any common ground when Dean admitted he doesn't go to the gym or have tattoos, which are clearly things that matter to Sarah when it comes to attraction. Just when you thought Sarah's treatment of Dean couldn't get any worse, the honeymoon footage dropped and showed us one of the most cruel moments in Married at First Sight history. During what should have been a romantic dinner, Dean asked Sarah a vulnerable question. "Have you been with anyone bigger than me?" This was clearly Dean trying to address the elephant in the room and maybe understand why Sarah seemed so uninterested in him physically. Sarah's response was absolutely devastating. She bluntly replied, "No," while repeatedly shaking her head, making it crystal clear that Dean's weight was a major issue for her. The way she delivered this response was so cold and dismissive that it left Dean feeling empty, which is heartbreaking to hear. This wasn't just honesty. This was cruelty disguised as being straightforward. Dean had opened himself up and made himself vulnerable, and Sarah basically confirmed his worst fears in the most hurtful way possible. But Sarah wasn't done there. She also complained that Dean's outburst of song and rapping is beginning to grate on me, showing that even his attempts to be romantic and entertaining were becoming sources of irritation for her. Sarah admitted to the cameras that, "I don't want to rip his clothes off," and that she felt more of a friend vibe with Dean, which would have been fine if she'd said it with some kindness or empathy. The reaction from Married at First Sight fans has been swift and brutal towards Sarah. Social media exploded with viewers calling out her cruel treatment of Dean, with many accusing her of fat-shaming and being unnecessarily harsh. Comments flooded in saying that Sarah's attitude was terrible and that Dean deserves better, which pretty much sums up how most people felt watching this unfold. Sarah has officially been branded as the villain of this season, and unlike some reality TV villains who are just dramatic or confrontational, Sarah's villain status comes from genuine cruelty towards someone who was trying his best. Even longtime Married at First Sight fans who have seen plenty of difficult contestants are saying that Sarah's behaviour crosses a line that shouldn't be crossed. The fat-shaming incident in particular has struck a nerve with viewers because it touches on body image issues that affect so many people. Dean's question about whether Sarah had been with anyone bigger than him showed real vulnerability, and Sarah's response felt like kicking someone when they're already down. Looking at everything that's happened between Sarah and Dean, it's clear that the experts got this match spectacularly wrong. Sarah has been very open about being attracted to bad boys with tattoos who have that dangerous edge, while Dean is a sweet, romantic guy who writes poetry and performs songs. These aren't just different personality types, they're complete opposites in every way that matters for romantic attraction. The experts probably thought they were doing Sarah a favour by matching her with someone different from her usual type, especially since she admitted that her past relationships with red flag guys haven't worked out. But there's a difference between encouraging someone to try something new and forcing them into a situation where they feel zero attraction to their partner. Physical attraction isn't everything in a relationship, but it's definitely something. And Sarah's complete lack of interest in Dean physically has made it impossible for them to build any romantic connection. When you combine that with their personality differences and Sarah's cruel way of expressing her feelings, you get a recipe for disaster that was inevitable from day one. The most disappointing thing about Sarah's behaviour isn't that she's not attracted to Dean, it's how she's chosen to handle that lack of attraction. There are ways to be honest about not feeling a connection without being cruel, and Sarah has consistently chosen the harshest approach. Dean has maintained his dignity throughout this ordeal, continuing to try and be kind even when Sarah was shutting him down. This serves as a reminder that kindness and respect matter in all relationships and situations.